see what the public thinks.
What feelings are, and more importantly is what we've done so far, and get the feedback from people like yourself, and then hopefully, take it forward, and then have another gathering. Because if the MP lives outside of the borough, doesn't know the community, so understandable, you need to understand your feelings. I'm from the community. I've been here 54 years. So rather than people telling me what's going on...
I thought you were 54 years old.
Well, I'm just over 54.
He's been telling
I've been living here for 54. I wasn't born here, I was very young when I came. So I know the feelings. So those feelings have been relayed to the appropriate people. What we want to do is to give you feedback of what has happened so far, and then get the gist of what people's feelings are now, and collectively how we can move it. That's the idea, because everybody that I've spoken to, spoke to you, everybody's on the same page. Everybody wants to do something to help those people out there. It's a limitation of what we can do. Okay? Because at the moment in time, Israel is not listening to America, not listening to the United Nations, not listening to the Pope.
That's not strictly true. It's all right saying Israel's not listening to America, but America is actually backing it. I mean, I don't know if you saw the release this morning in Al Jazeera, and they asked the Senate to comment on it. It was released and it was officiated, and somebody accepted it from the Israeli government. He said the plan was made for the Gazans to be removed from that land and for Israel to take full control of it, and this is the next step. So this is trying to push them off to Egypt.
And we should raise awareness.
Yeah.
Israel should open its borders.
Yeah.
So instead of Egypt, the Palestinians should go into Israel, and if they're after 2,000, 3,000 Hamas, they can go in. Once all the civilians have been moved into Israel.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
That's a good point, that's a fantastic point.
Why do they need to go into West Bank or...
Yeah, but the problem with that is we'll never agree to that, because there's more Palestinians really still going to there and they get equal rights.
But the Palestinians are still the Palestinians. Israel's part of Palestine.
So I'm not agreeing that, so this is the point of the truth.
Well, it's like this gentleman just said, their main goal is to free up Gaza so they can take over, not let them back in, because purely there's gains in there. Like we've seen in any other war, Iraq was the same. This, that, the other is political gains. So you go in, you clear it out, and then say, sorry, we can't let them back in because of this. Yeah,
but it's not just that.
And then take over. No,
yeah, it's not just that. Don't forget, Gaza is sitting on a big gas reserve.
Well,
that's what the main thing is. With the Russia thing going on.
Iraq was the same, wasn't it?
Of course it is.
Do you get me? Iraq was the same. But the problem we've got is innocent people. Innocent kids. We get videos, we get everywhere. Innocent kids who are getting affected, but no one's saying. But then we're getting bombarded with things within our own country, the UK. That listen, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, purely because it's against this, that, the other. But we're just raising awareness. It was the same with Ukraine. Why is Palestine different? Braverman.
6 million Afghans are coming in, and then with this grooming gangs labelling Pakistanis when the facts were wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, shocking.
Yes, so she's on a different agenda altogether.
Well, they're just appealing to people. I mean, I live in Baxenden, so I use it as an example. Yeah. They're just appealing to people in Baxenden to vote Tory. That's just dog whistle. And it's the same with stuff why they put Lee Anderson as deputy leader, because he's going to repeat the messages and keep an order. It's about saying to, let's be honest about it, let's not sugarcoat it, saying to white people that those people over there, we don't like them. That's what it is.
Okay, I think people will come and go, basically. What we need to start, because the time is very limited, because of Imam, because of Janaz, and obviously people's own, First of all, my apology. I did try to actually get as many people, send the message to as many people as possible. Short notice, yes, I take that on board. But as I said, we need to make sure we've got the right people here to give the opportunity to, what our perspective and what we've done so far. Just as an introduction, I think the majority of people know who they are, and they know who Graham is. That's Azhar Ali. He's from Pendle. He's the leader of the Labour group on Lancashire County Council. By chance, he came in today, and I asked him if he could actually spare a few minutes to stay, because he has been the person we asked to liaise between the councillors and the senior people at Keir's office and local government office. So I thank him that he is here, and he'll give me later on. No, I do. You're not handcuffed.
So I don't care about you.
Sorry, chalo time.
So to give you a bit of perspective, we as elected representative, as I said before, we are from the community, basically. So we know the feelings of the community. The chair. Rather than actually having individuals writing a letter or saying making a statement, what we did first was to, through Azhar and a colleague in Burnley, Afraseb, who's the leader of the Burnley Council, what we did after this thing blew up basically, is to have a meeting together, to have a collective thoughts, and then release a collective statement. So rather than individuals or each district, we had 38 councillors actually sat together and went through exactly what we need to actually put down on the paper. I've got all the statements here. I can happily either photocopy and give it to, or send you an electronic version as well. So you can read it. It has been in the paper. I do. They've been in the local press. So it's not something that people didn't get opportunity. It's been on the Facebook as well, and majority of the time people have been able to actually access it through some of my WhatsApp groups as well. The second thing we did was we held meetings with our Labour local government office, which is basically all Labour leaders on the local LGA got together and had a Zoom meeting with over 120 or 124 council leaders or group leaders got together and actually shared similar views. So the message was given to the opposition leader's office through that forum as well. We invited Anas Sarwar. He's probably one of our leading Muslim leaders of the Labour Party to Blackburn, and I think about 60 Labour councillors attended that meeting, and similar message went to Anas Sarwar to take to Keir Starmer's office day after. And the fourth thing what we did was basically we issued a call for ceasefire, and that's across East Lancashire. I think Pendle have done it, Burnley have done it, in Hindman we've done it, yesterday Preston have done it, Lancashire County Council have done it, and we call for a ceasefire. Okay, those are the things that we've been able to do over the last 2.5 weeks.
You missed one, because I objected to the Israeli flag flying on 10 Downing Street.
Yeah, sorry.
Where's the Palestinian flag?
I think Azhar will explain more on this one, because obviously he was more involved in the East Lancashire perspective. So Azhar, please, if you don't mind, if you just give him that perspective.
Yeah, so when the war started that weekend, Rishi Sunak wrote an email to all government buildings and all councils asking them to light up the buildings in blue and white and fly the Israeli flag. That was on a Sunday, and that Sunday night I spoke to Haji Munsaf, Afraseb in Burnley and Blackburn and Graham, and we wrote emails to the chief executives asking them that because we don't agree with what's happening, this will cause community problems and tensions. We do not want the Israeli flag flying from Town Hall at Nelson, Burnley, Accrington, County Council at Preston. We don't want any flags flying, and we don't want them to be lit up in blue because it will cause a lot of problems. Because we were able to do that, we stopped that from happening. But in Files, in Wire, in Blackpool, in Sheffield, you saw some of the videos in Sheffield where someone went and took the flag down. In different parts of the country, that was what happened. So because we were able to do that, we would stop that happening here because we objected to it.
Just to continue, two more important things. I think I couldn't attend that particular Zoom meeting. I think Palestinian ambassador to UK, there was a meeting with him as well. Yeah. So the councils can actually get some feedback from that individual and also give them the feedback on what they have done. I didn't attend that one. I don't know if Azhar did attend. Yeah, if you just explain exactly what happened with the ambassador of Palestine.
Can I pick up the Zara Mohammed one as well?
Yeah, that was well.
Okay, so we've had a number of meetings, but the two meetings that Haji Munsaf is talking about. The first one was with the Muslim Council of Britain and the General Secretary of the Muslim Council called Zara Mohammed. That was on Sunday. Sunday morning, 10 o'clock, and again it was council leaders, so Adi Munsaf, Arud Shah from Oldham, and a number of us on there, Muslim and non-Muslim, talking to her about, you know, what the Muslim Council of Britain doing, because everyone's got a different role to play. So her line was very simple, that look, you know, we're trying to influence, we're having meetings with government ministers, we're also having meetings with shadow ministers, trying to say, look, you know, what's happening is totally unacceptable, and all you're doing is pushing for the greater Israel project rather than the two-state solution. Some of the letters that Adi Munsaf has got that we've written as councillors, 38 councillors from Burnley, Pen Rosendale, Muslim and non-Muslim, have written to Rishi Sunak, and he hasn't responded. We've written to Ed Davey, the Liberal leader, and Starmer and the Greens, and
local MPs
and the local MPs as well. And I've not had a response back from any of the local Tory MPs. And we've said that. I think you said earlier about what the vision is. The vision is to try and push the Palestinians into Egypt, and that's why Egypt won't open its borders. The Palestinians don't want to go to Egypt because they know that once they leave Gaza, right, they will never get back. Right? Israel, you know, has that plan, which is to get rid of them from Gaza, push them out, treat them the way they're treating them, and then they've got Gaza to themselves, and you know they'll say it's because of security risks to Israel and the Jewish state, you know, they can't come back. So we've actually said that in our letter. It's there about a land grab, etc. We had a meeting, a few of us. Adi Munsaf wasn't on that meeting, with the ambassador for Palestine, Hussein Zomlet, and he's lost 13 people of his family in the last 2 weeks in Gaza. We were supposed to have another meeting with him yesterday, and his cousin got killed on Tuesday night, so he was not in no frame of mind to talk to us. And his line is very simple, that, you know, to us as councillors is, you know, fight for the Palestinian voice. If you know, there's in some towns you've seen in Blackburn, some councillors have resigned, and you know, in Oxford, about 30 councillors have resigned. If you resign as councillors, who's going to come in your place? You don't know. And the people who will come in your place could be people who are not pro-Palestine. They'll have a different perspective. So don't weaken the voice of the Palestinians. Stay in and fight. Look, his example was, look, the people in Gaza could walk away and go into Egypt. They could go into other countries, right, in Jordan, but they're not. They're fighting, they're losing their lives because they know that if they're not there, they will be driven out, right, and they won't ever get back.
Yeah, but it's right you saying that, but if you're going to fight this Palestinian cause as a leader, you'll be driven out by other means. You understand? Like that other chap who voiced his opinion for the community, he was driven out.
Andy McDonald, I think.
Yeah, what was he called?
Andy McDonald.
But you know, yeah, you're right in saying that we should wage it, we should keep us in power, but there should be some sort of impact on your leaders like Starmer, and you know, there should be some sort of impact on them. That listen, community, you need to.
Cameron. Yeah. No, it's a really good point. You know, all of us in this room have a conscience. You know, we see those pictures. You know, when 7/7 happened, there was no social media, right? There was no social media, but now in a second, people can get through to you, and you see the pictures, and you can't just shut them off. They're there. They're in your head. Right? No, we are putting pressure on the different ways. We've been on calls with David Lamé. You know, we can only talk about Labour because we're Labour as leaders. You know, within 7 hours of asking for a meeting, we got a meeting, and there were 141 of us on that call. Yeah, and the majority of the Labour councillors, whether they're Muslim or non-Muslim, are on the same page. You know, we want an immediate ceasefire. We want, you know, we want America and Britain. And you know, Britain was the one that came up with the Balfour Declaration, right? You know, we've got an obligation as a country, and we're British, right? We've got obligation to sort this issue out. So you know, we're putting as much pressure as we can, but you know, we also know our limitations. Because, you know, we are councillors, elected as councillors, but in terms of driven out, I'm leader of the county group, and Adi Salva is on the county council as well. We represent 1.2 million people, we're written as a council against this. As long as, you know, I don't say anything which is, you know, deemed to be Jewish hate, right, I'm free to say what I want. We were the first ones in the country that come around as councillors, and maybe part of the problem is that we don't shout about it. But it's in the Evening Telegraph. We were the first ones last Monday to ask for a ceasefire. 38 councillors signed that from Burnley, Pendle and Hindburn. Right? That was Muslim and non-Muslim councillors. We've written to my MP, I live in Briarfield, I've written to Andrew Stevenson, we've written to Higginbottom, we've written to Sarah Brickcliffe, written to all the MPs. No one's responded. They're not responding. But I think there's two levels of intervention. You know, as a community, community I live in, we've got meetings with masjids and young people, and everyone's angry. But it's like, what do you do? So masjids are writing their own letters, you know, collectively. You know, councillors are doing their bit. You know, but we've got to keep that pressure on as much as we can.
From my point of view,
give us
this Zionist government, you know, which the Israelis are, people, you know, insert our prophets, peace be upon him. Are they more pious than our prophets? We can't say against anything against these people. We can say what we like now. Yeah. Before we was following the rules and regulation, but I don't want to follow anymore. You know what I mean? Because they are not pious people. Do we disrespect Prophet Musa? We can't. Do we respect Jesus? No, we can't. We follow all the rules because of our Islamic law, because we believe upon these prophets. But this nation
we all include.
Don't need to resist on this earth the barbaric act it has committed on Palestinian people. It has, you know, it has crossed all the lines. They were
whether it's a Rasi Sunak or Labour, they all same.
These British people, they were crying when something happened to the this fight. What's it called? Ukraine fight. Yeah? But for a Palestinian, no, we are standing in a different path. You know, we are standing with the Jewish people. This, which is wrong, and I don't think we don't need to support this country anymore, especially if they're going to follow these rules. I'm sorry to say this. No.
Sooner or later, we all have to pay. Whether it's a Labour or whether it's any party, we all corrupt, we all blind eyes. All of these, maybe your children, maybe my children, we are not honest. So I'm sorry to say, you are also including. Your government said we support Israel, didn't it? And no. Blood is for blood.
No, I don't. Well, personally speaking, I'm not going to speak for anybody else at this moment in time. I've always taken a different view, and I've always been solid on this issue. And I hope today that the people that come respect that. You know, I've been outspoken, number one. You've asked me to go above and beyond the point that you've just made. I have gone above and beyond. I've been in the national newspapers criticising Israel. How far do you want me to keep going? And I will keep going for the Palestinians.
You see, it's just not just about you. The narrative needs to change. Yeah. I mean, we've just heard about, you know, where the flag was going to go up, and you all said there might be a conflict in the community, or whatever, but that's not the way to go about it. What you should have said was, if you want the flag to go up, my constituents want to know why the Palestinian flag didn't go up when they were being massacred. Yes. When the independent journalists were being assassinated, why didn't the flag go up then? And then, what you should have done was you should have gone into the papers and you know what, we've been asked to put a flag up, we're not putting the flag up for these reasons. The narrative at the moment is that this is a Muslim/terrorist against the Western way of life /Jews. And it's not a Jewish incident, this is a Muslim, this is not, this is a Zionist issue. People are conflating the two. Zionism and Judaism are separate things. Yeah. You look at these marches, there's lots of Jews going on who support it. The Zionism is different.
Yeah, can I just say to you, go back to the lighting up of the town halls. You know, the brother over there said about, you know, what your feelings are. They're honest feelings from your heart, right? Let me say it. I've got the same anger.
No, sir, no.
We've all got the same feelings, whether it's Graham or
we
you.
Don't
we all
have
feel
feeling. No, we say straight on television, on Sky News, we support Israel. All of us.
I don't say
but the government, Labour government.
Can I just say,
yes.
I have never in 13 years, and I refuse to say the words, support Israel, because I have my own personal views about the way that they behave. And as your representative, I have met all the senior figures at the top, except for Netanyahu, and I've told them all what I think to the face, exactly what the people of this constituency think, and I've been blunt about it. All of them. In fact, I've had 2 meetings with Mark Regev, and both times it resulted in an argument. I will not pull away from saying what needs to be said. That's just who I am. He'll tell you that. I'm awkward. Right? So I accept all of that, but I will not endorse what this Israeli right-wing government is doing, and has been doing for 2 decades. I will not. However, I will defend the UK's right, a principle of every nation to defend itself, and that's the problem. If somebody asks the question, does the UK have a right to defend itself? The answer is yes, but unfortunately that's a universal right, and I can't get away from that. But what I won't say is Israel has a right to defend itself. What I will say is all nations have a right to defend themselves, which is subtly different but carries a big meaning.
This is the problem, isn't it? The narrative in the paper doesn't reflect this at all. It's made it out like as though the Palestinians are attacking Israel all the time, but it isn't. For the last 2 years before this incident took part, more land has disappeared, more people are being killed. I mean, there was a protest about when Trump was in charge 2 years ago, when all these Palestinians gathered at the border and said, open the border up, we're dying. And what happened? They were shot. And they were going to take it to they were going to take it to the court, but Trump said if this goes forward, the United States funding will be withdrawn, and it disappeared.
So to answer your question, I've been out there about 3 or 4 times. I've worked with all the Palestinian charities and come straight to the heart of your point. Let's not sugarcoat it. This is oppression. They are taking land off the Palestinian people. I've stood there where I've seen broken-hearted farmers with the land just taken off them, and future farmers where the land is going to be taken off them for settlements. It is wrong. Simple as. It has been called out. Israel just won't do anything about it.
See, they make it out like this is Hamas. But Hamas came in 1987. Before Hamas, this was still continuing. The problem at the moment is, instead of looking national, we need to look more local. In our local papers, Muslims, about 80-90% of us vote for Labour anyway. Let's be honest. And we're not powerful enough to affect elections, so that's not going to happen.
Can I support your argument?
Yeah, can I finish the point I'm making though?
I'm going to support you.
Yeah, you see, we're not powerful enough to affect change. That's the truth of it, whether we like it or not. So what we need to do is now, in our community, we need to spread the message. When they say Hamas and this, we need to, like the flag issue, we need to be in the paper, councillors, highlighting every issue, and then saying Netanyahu, leader of the Likud party. The Likud party policy is there can never be a Palestine. No. From river to Jordan, it's all Israel. It's just nonsense. The problem we're having at the moment now is that Keir and Rishi, I don't see any difference at all. No.
Okay. So
that MP got sacked yesterday. That to me is, what was wrong with that quote? No, from river to the sea, Palestinians and Israelis living together in freedom. What's wrong with that quote?
It shouldn't have been suspended, right? Yeah. It was suspended on what was said, and I know him really well, and he's a solid pro-Palestinian supporter. The media, and some of the people in the media from certain Jewish quarters were given crap about what he said, and that'll have to be corrected very quickly because he's not done anything wrong. That's the first thing. The second thing is, he said back, I think part of the fault that local councillors, because we're local, part of the community, is that all the letters that Adi Munsef and Nuldad and Uncle Rufai have been signing, and we've done this collectively. So not just as them, we've done it from Nelson all the way through. Right, we've done that and lobbied, because sometimes doing it as one person isn't enough. You've got to do it as a group.
But if you're going to hurt anybody who will not respond to you, you've got to hurt them through the ballot box. Muslims here, there's not enough of us. The narrative to a non-Muslim, if you speak to people who don't know the incident, they say, well, yeah, but Gaza went in, they beheaded babies and they were raping girls. But that turned out to be false. These was it MCN or CNN, one of them brought the news, the journalist went back on that, said, I heard it from a soldier, so we're retracting it. But the problem we've got is every time an Israeli sportsman comes, an IDF sportsman comes on TV, he always reiterates that, but nobody gets challenged on that because they're too afraid. BBC, the media is a whitewash. It's all pro-Israeli. There's no question about it. This is where you need to approach local people. When you turn the minds and hearts of mind local people, here's on Sire, it's no good. You're preaching to the converted. We know what the incident. What you need to be doing is approaching people who aren't aware of the issue and then getting them converted. Once you start getting these people grow, think, you know what, this is an absolute disgrace. And they start voting, that's when it's going to change.
Can I just come in and... obviously, like you, my family's been here for as long as Munsey's family's been here, so I know the community, all the communities. Right? So I'll speak for all the communities and tell you where we are. I wanted to support your argument, though, earlier on, and now I do support it, is this simple point. There is very little Hamas in the West Bank. It is Fatah who, you could say, they do control it along with the PLO, who have tended to be non-violent. Let's just kind of, there's been a bit, but we'll park that. Why are the Palestinians in the West Bank suffering for what Hamas have done? Explain that to me. Why have we still got occupation? Why have we got settlements? You explain to me why that is. Even in the light of this incident. Hamas, by the way, killed all the Fatah. They were throwing them off the top of buildings and they executed them all in the Gaza Strip. And they would like to do that in the West Bank. But the people in the West Bank, what are they to do with Hamas? There isn't a great Hamas presence in the West Bank. So why are Palestinians in the West Bank having to suffer?
It's the same though, isn't it? I mean, the farmers or the settlers, whatever you want to call them, they kill them every day and push them out and take the farm.
Occupiers.
Yeah, occupiers, that's what they're doing. They call them settlers now, don't they, that part? But that's what they're doing. And when it's reported on the TV and the Israeli army will come on, they say, oh, well, it's a police issue, we're dealing with it.
No,
they're not dealing with nothing. The land is disappearing fast. The problem is, though, the narrative is it's Arab all around them and just Israel on its own in a bad neighbourhood. But the fact of the matter is, all those Arab nations support them. There's no two ways about it. They're lying if they're not. They're part of the system. They benefit it.
But let's see what more can these people do. Let's give them an idea.
Yeah, but it needs to be local. You can only beat people through a ballot box. You can't do it otherwise.
They've done this far.
From being a leader.
Sorry?
Can you remove Starmer from being a leader?
If MP,
in the Labour Party there is, but there won't be a will to remove him.
No
I'm
chance.
sorry, this meeting, I want to say is, I've always been honest anyway, but I'll say it right now. Whether people agree with me or disagree with me, I will always be honest. And I don't think that there's a will to remove Keir Starmer, and I think generally in the Labour Party, that he's held in high regard.
Can I disagree with you, right? Because I think, forget everything else, on this issue, I think, because Graham's a lot more, knows a lot more people than I do, but a lot of the MPs I've spoken to, non-Muslim MPs, they feel that on this issue he's lost the confidence of the parliamentary party.
Oh no, right? He's made mistakes.
Right, he's made mistakes because people want him to have a different approach. They want him to have an approach where he asks for a ceasefire. A lot of MPs have. If you read the newspapers, not Muslim, take them out of the equation. Right, non-Muslim MPs from Liverpool to London to Scotland, and the Silver, who's the leader of the Scottish Labour Party, called for a ceasefire last week.
But not enough of them, though, is it?
No.
60 MPs.
60 MPs have been calling for it, right? Saying, look, change your policy.
Well, we're working on many others.
Right, and every other, and we lobby not just us. You know, councillors in London, councillors in Birmingham, in Coventry, in Middlesbrough. Everyone. We're not working in isolation. We're talking to other people. You know, you were saying about. Because as individuals, you can't do jack.
No.
Is it not better if you all get together, all of you, arrange a meeting within the next week?
We were
going to do that.
And that, I think that will send a clear message to your leader and the government. Like if you bring the more people in towards you, whether the people who supports this, the war, stop the war. So I think that might be.
Yeah, last week there was a petition going round for just to Muslim councillors. 300 Muslim councillors have signed that, and that went in. Yesterday, other councillors from other faiths, Jewish as well, are saying, "Hang on, why is it just the Muslim councillors doing a petition? It should be for all councillors." So there's a bigger one going.
Of course,
I'd organised with colleagues a meeting this Friday in Bury. For all the northwest, so Liverpool, all the way Manchester, Oldham, Bury, Bolton, Oldham, Preston, all the Muslim councillors with PPCs, so like prospective candidates and MPs, right, for a meeting. But what happened was, some of our colleagues, foolishly, it was a private meeting. They put it on, if I got it and I leaked it to you, you put it on another group. Before you knew it, it was right all around northwest, and then the community centre that was having it, they were getting threats from Jewish communities saying, "Hang on, you're getting all the Muslims together." And some Opney who were playing other games, saying, "If you have this meeting here, we're going to come and demonstrate outside." So it just loses that effectiveness. So we're going to have another meeting, probably Monday or Tuesday next week, but we're going to do it in a town hall where we get everyone together, because you can't do anything by yourself. You have to do it big numbers. There is effort next weekend, not this weekend, to hold a meeting on the Saturday in Birmingham of all Muslim councillors from across the UK. Every day is too late. Yeah, every day people are dying.
10,000
people dead. Yeah. And some of you have been to Palestine, yeah.
I've been to Palestine.
I've been, yeah, I've been
as well.
I've been, right, and it's heartbreaking. You know, I've not been to Gaza, but I went to West Bank,
Hebron.
yeah, Hebron and all that. You see how Muslims
where
treated.
we go to Al-Aqsa,
yeah.
how many times we get checked,
yeah.
search,
Yeah.
like, you know.
Yeah, you treat it like dogs, you know, you treat it like animals. Yeah, literally.
Like animals.
Right, but what I would say to you is, you know, the one mistake that I think we are making as a community, right, and I'd say to generalise, so please take this offensive, we've turned it into a Muslim-Jew issue.
It's not.
Yeah. Right? It's not Muslim-Jew. You go to Bethlehem, you go to Hebron, you go to Nazareth, you go to Jerusalem, right? You don't know which is Muslim and which is Christian.
There's a Jewish, there's a Muslim.
They're all together. Muslims and Christians are there side by side. They live side by side. They work together. They celebrate together. Their names aren't Graham, right? It's Dawood, it's Yusuf. Yeah, it's like that. You know, and the Christian community, you talk to people, church, you know, people, they're forgotten about, you know, Bethlehem, the Christians in the West Bank are being forgotten about by the Christian community.
But this is the divide and rule policy, though.
Of Israel.
And that's how
they've done it. But we have to take our, you know, non-Muslim community, Christian communities with us as well. You know, so we've been...
Sorry, Asa, just you make a good point. Two sides of the same coin politically, Hamas and Netanyahu, the right-wing Likud, they play off against each other. One says the other's terrible, so we're going to do terrible things. The other one says the other side's terrible, and we're going to do terrible things. And they work together. Symbiotic's the word. It's a symbiotic relationship, even though it's polarised. Yeah. But they work in tandem, and this is what is hurting the Palestinian people. Is that these two entities are both profiting from the sins of the other.
Sorry to interrupt, it wouldn't be surprising if this is all a set-up in order to take what...
Listen, I'll tell you what my view is, right? You've been to Israel.
Well, and I'm not too far away. I don't entirely agree with that, but I'm not too far away. The settlements are an example of that.
Yeah.
You know, look, Graham,
it's part of the Greater Israel.
Yeah,
Europe's already signed some gas
Graham, you
deals.
can't say this.
Absolutely.
Graham, you can't say this, but I'll say it. I've been to Israel. You've been to Israel. Right? Yeah, he's been. The security is that strict from landing at the airport, right, to your hotel, to going into Masjid al-Aqsa or any other towns, if you go in Gaza. I can't believe there is nowhere that Israel knows there's a border there. Exactly. There's a big buffer zone between Gaza and that these people on paragliders, that they had no intelligence at all. The Egyptians are saying that they warned Israel 10 days earlier. 2 weeks ago. Right, 2 weeks earlier. Americans warned them 2 weeks before. A day before. There's something's happening. Right? Netanyahu, right, deliberately, he was in political trouble. He's in political trouble. He cashed it. They deliberately, I believe that, and I've said it publicly, they deliberately took the security off. Yeah. They allowed the massacre, and here's a massacre of 1,200 innocent people, right? They allowed that massacre, and that gives them the green light to do whatever they bloody want, because the Americans have backed them all the way, right? And
Britain as well.
And I have to say, look, you know,
all of Europe back then.
600.
You know, whatever the figure is, you know, one life is one life too many, yeah. So whether it's a Muslim life, Jewish life, Christian life, a life is a life. It matters. But you know, for me, it hurts me equally as much is where is Erdogan? Right? They can all give it plenty. Where is Saudi Arabia? Where is Egypt?
So-called ISIS and Al-Qaeda.
Nothing. Because unless they're going to speak up, they're not. They're zipped. Yeah, because they've got their own fighting going on.
When I speak to them, and I do speak to them occasionally, they are. This is an unvarnished meeting. We're going to be honest, right? So if you tell me something you don't agree, fair enough. But I'm going to tell you how I see it through my eyes, not through anybody else's eyes, because I only speak for myself. And I'll argue with anybody. I think when I speak in UAE and Riyadh, and people there, they are frightened of Hamas. Is one of the things that's in the back of their mind. They're frightened that they'll be toppled, that something will happen, that they'll get instability, which is perfectly a natural belief. So they're nervous about all of this. So you have to see. So whilst they see both sides and they're just thinking, oh, well, how does this affect us? That's what you get when you speak to those in the capitals.
Could I just say a couple of things? We've had a reasonably good discussion. I think the message that we're getting from people is, have a bigger, meeting with councillors. More importantly, have non-Muslim councillors there as well. These letters that we've sent are signed by non-Muslim councillors as well. We had a meeting last night. We had a meeting last night at the Hindman Labour Group, who unanimously have said that we would send another letter. We've already sent one letter calling for a ceasefire. but we're going to send another letter collectively from Hyman Labour Group with all councillors on board to say that we want an immediate ceasefire. We are going to have another meeting collectively as Muslim councillors, because we need to reach out as far as to
all the northwest.
And secondly, more importantly, is to engage with the non-Muslim councillors as well. And I think what we've got feedback, I take on board, Sajjad, thanks very much for saying that. We need to feed that back to our community.
And I think we need to send a message to the Muslim governments to do something about this. That is very important at the moment now, to send a message to all the Muslim governments to do something. If you're gonna keep quiet, we're not gonna let you keep quiet.
Can I just come in and just caution? And I said I'll be unvarnished and honest. I speak for all the communities, all. I mean all. A lot of people around where I live, and the vast majority of people across the Hyman and Accrington area, feel, rightly or wrongly, that they hear it from one side, they hear it from the other side. I think Azhar made a point. Community cohesion matters to me. We've worked hard for 10 years to make this Hyman a nice, safe place. And we want to make it a nicer and a safer place.
Definitely, yeah.
And we must never, ever lose sight of that. There is a little bit of a danger here that suddenly, as Azhar said, we start to make differences appear. Right? And I know from the vast majority of people, they think that one side says it, the other side says it. Why can't they just get around the table and sort it out? That is the view of Hyman. That I'm speaking for the vast majority in Hyman. Why can't they just sit round the table, stop fighting, stop arguing, and sort it out?
But that's where the veto's coming out.
And I'm sick to death. And
let
me speak for them as a mass. And obviously, you can't speak for every individual, so I'm kind of aggregating this view. I'm sick of one side saying this, propaganda. I'm sick of the other side saying it. Sort it out. Who's going to stand up in the middle, bang some heads together, and sort it out? That's what the vast majority of people in Ireland
This is what the UN's for. The problem at the moment UN is, ideally, if America wasn't using the veto, you can say now, right, as it currently stands, we're going to have UN forces guarding both borders, so nothing can, whilst a discussion takes place. That can never happen because the veto comes into play.
Can I just say that it's not only the political side of it. Our mosques right across Lancashire are also doing the same thing collectively. And this letter that has been signed by 300 councillors, I'm on that signature as well, calling for a ceasefire through that forum as well.
So can I just say something else?
No, I want to stop because I want to say one good point before you do. What's been proposed for Thursday night is the right approach, just because I want to follow on from what I said. What's his face? I know. Zaid, has organised a vigil, right? A vigil instead of a march or a protest. Good PR, that's good PR. It's a vigil.
So where's this?
Right?
Sorry, is this local?
Town hall.
Yeah, it's town hall on Thursday.
Accrington.
Yeah.
So
but it's organised as a vigil and not a protest.
Where is that?
So it reaches a wider number of people.
Town hall.
You get more people listening
This
to
Thursday.
it.
Am I allowed to bring my flag?
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah, of course you can. Why not?
This is another thing. I know it's a vigil.
Yeah, you can bring a Palestine flag. It's the international flag.
Yeah, again, I'll be.
So what time is this vigil being held?
I don't know the details.
I'll let you know because I'll ask Zaid. He hasn't told me the date.
So are we putting this out to the whole of everybody anywhere?
I believe it's out.
To invite everyone.
Yeah. But do you understand the point I'm making about what's the difference between a vigil and a march and a protest? How are you going to reach more people?
You wouldn't with the hearts and minds of the other communities.
Yeah, you're saying use language which is...
And language is important. It's very, very important on both sides. Language is everything. You win more hearts and minds.
So either get Zara Sultan, Jeremy Corbyn back in as Labour, or former independent party.
Okay, can I?
Former independent party.
Can I just say that there's some things that we can do at our level, and we can't change governments, but we can influence. Can I just say something else? You all remember 7/7, and some of you are old enough. You won't be old enough, but you remember 2001 when the Burnley riots took place.
Yeah, I do.
Burnley riots wasn't about black and white. It was about drug dealing. Someone came out of a pub, threw someone, hit a taxi, and then next minute rumours started. Right? There was no social media then, no Facebook, no WhatsApp, no nothing. Now there's everything. My worry is, you know what you said about Suella Braverman, the way she's going. Suella Braverman is going as far right to the EDL National Front language. So divide and rule, Muslim against everybody else. Right, everybody against the Muslims, everybody against the.
That's a vote winner, isn't it?
No, it is, but that's the point, though. Right? I think, as a community, we've got to be bright enough and alert enough to, yes, we're angry and all the rest of it, but also with a sensible head, think what's going to happen. I'm convinced. After 7/7, I worked for the Blair government as a ministerial advisor on counter-terrorism and all that side. I'm telling you, there will be an incident in this country, right? Because yesterday or the day before, there was a Cobra meeting. You should have seen it on the news. There was a Cobra meeting to discuss a possible incident as a result of the Middle East conflict. That was the way it was worded, Graham, on Sky News. Okay. So I think, personally, and I'll say this in this room, that I think in the next few weeks, you've got Remembrance Sunday in a week's time. You've got
elections coming up as well.
Yeah, you've got Remembrance Sunday, though. There's a general election coming up. There's Remembrance Sunday coming up on a week on Sunday. Last night, I was in a meeting till 11:30 with some Burnley people, right, who want to go to Remembrance Sunday, right, with flags and, you know, start chanting and doing that. That will create a problem. Last Saturday there was a protest in Burnley, for Burnley and Pendle, right, on Gaza, and it was done in the War Memorial. The police rang me 4 or 5 days ago and they said, on the chatter groups of the far right, because they still exist in Burnley, right, in the pubs, the chatter is that the Muslims came, they protested about Gaza, and they disrespected the War Memorial because it was around the War Memorial, and that this Saturday gone, the police are saying that they're going to go, 15, 20 of them are going to go, and they're going to stand near the War Memorial and form a protective ring. Look at the language, so that if the Muslims come, they're going to stop the Muslims disrespecting the War Memorial. So there's a game going on to try and create an incident, right? And there'll be someone silly enough to do something stupid, right? Attacking or driving through somebody, and the headline on Sky News and everywhere else, Al Jazeera, and BBC will be Islamist terrorist attack. Right? What will happen if we don't win to the hearts and minds of the people who are neighbours and people we live in Accrington or Blackburn or Nelson or wherever? The white community, the vast majority, not all of it, they're going to think, hang on, bloody hell, this is 7/7 again. You know where I'm coming from? That divide and rule and conquer politics, it's going to come back. It's there now. When you've got Nick Griffin, who was the BNP leader, right? He's not pro-Muslim, right? And he's on Twitter last night, and the leader Jake Benson, I've not seen it, but I've been being sent things, right? Saying, look, you know what's happening, you know, it was wrong.
Nigel Farage,
racist, right?
The rise, sorry, let me come in. The right are rising, and I said we've worked hard for community cohesion. And we've done really well, and it's a nice place, Islington, to live. I'm sorry to tell you this message, but as I'll follow on from Azor and just concur, the right are just on the edge. And again, I'm sorry to tell you an horrible message. We're not here for politics, but we are here for how it changes people's lives. In Burnley, Labour lost loads of white communities to the BNP.
8 BNP.
9. If anybody thinks that Labour losing to the BNP is a good idea, well, blow me down sideways, right? Because, well, you won't, I weigh too much, but I'm old. But that's what, as me, who represents, or in theory could represent, or has represented everybody, that's what's on my mind. I fought the BNP, tooth and nail. We're not having them back, so I've got to keep all communities on side.
Because you're right, they were rising considerably, and they have come.
They took Labour,
so they need something to come forward again.
And Tommy Robinson, you've seen the video where Tommy Robinson, EDL, the leader, English Defence League, their leader said on the video last week, "Come on, guys, get ready. Our time is coming." Right? No, so we need to, as a community, we've got Palestine issue. We have to fight. There's Iman. That's part of our belief, right? Right? That's our belief. We have to fight for Palestine. But at the same time, we need to bear in mind this is just as much as our country as anyone else's. You know, I'm a bit younger than Munsif, and he's been here a long time. You were all born here. Most of you were born here. Our elders been here 50 years, 60 years. Third, fourth generations. We're not going nowhere because Pakistan is not going to invite us. Right? So we're staying here, but we also got to remember that we've got to keep our communities together as well. and stop those people who want to create.
This is our country.
Yes, our country. Yeah.
Yeah, but the problem you got now is that Labour's here.
We will fight for this country.
Yeah. So
something goes wrong.
Yeah, but
our children is going to fight for this country. Why not?
Yeah, but the problem with Labour is Keir, when he came in, he invited Trevor Phillips back in, and he was making Islamophobic comments all the time. And he was happily, no apology, nothing, invited straight in. He takes funding from that Abrams guy, Islamophobic comments again. No, nothing.
What's your name, sir?
Yeah, Sajid.
Sajid.
So he's not, you know what I mean? The message
we've
is...
got 17 Muslim councillors, MPs, right? I think it's 17 across the country from Labour, right? And every day, okay, there's Lord Wajid in Burnley, there's Imran Hussain in Bradford, right? Last night, we were on the phone to him about 11:15 at night. All of them, you know, they've got white colleagues, right? Non-Muslim colleagues who are passionate, more probably passionate than they are fighting here, and you know, they're pushing as much pressure as they are, and some of them are shadow ministers. So Wajid from Burnley, he's a shadow minister. Imran Hussain is a shadow minister. Naz Shah from Bradford, shadow minister. Yasmin Qureshi from Bolton is a shadow minister. You know, those are 4 that I can think off the top of my head who are shadow ministers. 2 weeks ago, they were going to resign as shadow ministers because, you know, people like you in the rooms were saying to them in Bradford, right, and saying, look, you know, what's going on? The only reason they didn't resign was because of what the Palestinian ambassador said to them, right? And there's some non-Muslim, Graham knows, non-Muslim shadow ministers who've been on the edge, right? And they've not resigned as shadow ministers because they're all pro-Palestinian. And he said, well, you go, I can guarantee you, can be pro-Israel supporters will be put in your place. So you actually, instead of thinking you're doing something really good, what you're going to do is you're going to weaken the Palestinian voice in the parliament.
I differ from your view there. I think when Keir comes into power, those foreign ministers will soon be replaced when there's a cabinet meeting.
No, I disagree.
I think so.
Why has the Indian Labour Council resigned and the Pakistanis aren't?
No, there are some Pakistanis who resigned.
No,
there's
the
majority
of Indians have resigned.
No, it's not majority. There are a few Indians in Blackman who resigned.
But there's other factors.
Pendle, they're all Pakistani, Kashmiri, they've resigned. And in Oxford, there's more Pakistanis there that resign.
Can I also, sorry to interrupt, can I also ask a question? So I'm guessing this is a Labour kind of...
No.
So the people who are here are representatives of Labour Party, am I right?
Yes.
So we've got Tory representatives in Accrington as well, who are of Muslim or non-Muslim, regardless. So where are these? So why is there a divide in this meeting, for example, where these Tory people haven't members are not here? Where are they?
They couldn't have them.
Okay.
No, but where are they though? Who was our Tory leader? Who was it?
If you give me 2 reasons. One is everywhere in East Lancashire, the councillors didn't organise the meetings. This meeting wasn't organised by me. It was organised by Yasin Saab.
Yes, already on the bottom.
Public meeting.
Yeah.
So everywhere in East Lancashire, Nelson, whatever, people were invited.
So they're allowed to come?
Say they're allowed to come. The reason we were asked a question by many people. Sajad asked me, 1 or 2 other people asked me, what have you done? That's the reason to update you people what we have done.
Yeah, no, I'm not denying that, but what I'm trying to say is that we've
why
got...
Why couldn't you do that on a public platform? Why are you...
We didn't want to make it political. My feeling is it's not a political thing.
It's not. I'm not making it a political thing. What I'm trying to say is, where what's our Conservative? Sarah Brickcliffe, or what's the other one called?
That's a question you need to ask them.
Mr. Eunice.
That's a question you need to ask them. They need to organise, come to meetings or meetings need to be organised. But I don't see that as an issue because I think we had a responsibility to answer to you people. We've done that and we will continue doing that. There will be another meeting following this, inshallah. Will probably be a bit more, shall we say, more notice and a bigger room. But once we've done what we've done, we'll come back to you and tell you what
can I just say something else? You know, in Pendle, there is quite a large number of Pakistani Tory councillors. We have parish councillors as well. And we informally, spoke. We all were at the protest. And the Tory councillors, because there were some people who were saying we should resign. We had 2 councillors who resigned, went independent. They sat independent. They can't do nothing in terms of speak up. They just sat in the council meeting. So the Tory councillors, our MP is Conservative as well, right? So the Tory councillors said, we're not going to resign, we're going to fight from within their structures. I always respect that in the same way that I'm leader of the county group. Adi Sab is leader of the Labour group on Hindman. We're trying different ways, and we're not perfect. We know our limitations. How far we can push and where we can push. Graham's, lobbying, the leader's office and the people he knows, as MPs, etc. But end of the day, I think, as you said, Palestine is part of our Iman, and Al-Aqsa Mosque and everything else that goes with it. But the second thing is, this is not a Muslim-Jewish issue. We have to stop making it a Muslim-Jewish issue. It's an issue for humanity, because there's Christians there, there's Jews there, there's Jews on the streets of London and Manchester demonstrating against, Israel and Netanyahu. And we need to have that collective support. And thirdly, please, I know you're lucky you don't have BNP or EDL in Accrington. There will be pockets. You'll have cells.
Yeah, we've got a few. So we send, I say we, I'm talking about our community, the whole, everybody in it. We send as many coaches to EDL marches as any other place. Yeah. Along with Blackburn, Ironburn, Luton, and a couple of places. Halifax. But Ironburn sends a full coach of EDL every time if there's a march. So we've not been a march for a while, but there'll be a strong presence.
In Bonoswick.
One thing, how can Christian, all these countries are supporting a people who are bombing a church? They killed 50 people. Bombing a church.
Because this is not a religious issue.
First of all,
this is Zionism.
I don't believe.
This is terrorism. This is what it is. That's what it is. It's terrorism on an international level. It's given a green light, and our government's part of it. American government's a part of it. Europe's part of it.
I love them.
This is just my view again. I don't think, in my heart of hearts, that when people go home, they actually believe what Israel's doing is right. But what they're trying to do is find a frigging answer out of all of this, a diplomatic way out of it, desperately, to get Israel to stop. And I think when they go and face the public, that's when the diplomacy kicks in, and they've got to temper the language and try and find a way through. And I'm sure when they go home, like me, part of my friends are fucking Israel again, And I'm sure that all these people think that when they go home. But if you're a world leader, it's your job to find peace and a solution. Now, listen, you're right to protest and call a ceasefire because you're right to lobby. That's right. But those people up there, we should be really praying for them because it's a tough job. They've got to find a diplomatic. And as I mentioned it earlier, there's two things going on there, and you don't want either or, you want both. You want the diplomacy at the top and you want the force at the bottom. And that's and both together. We will not get Israel over the line unless we go at them hard.
Well, why is there British people in IDF?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Well, this has been raised, and I'm going to take this up because we have a simple rule.
They're allowed to get a flight there as well.
You do, unless there is a military alliance between us and that particular country, NATO or whatever, then or an individual one, you should not be fighting. No British person should be fighting for any other country. At all, full stop. It's against the law and you should be locked up.
Same with Ukraine, you had people.
No, that's separate because they're like almost you feel like they're an extension of NATO in that we are a partner on the Ukrainian side. That's an exception, but everywhere else you should be locked up. Full stop.
We've already raised this. How come? If any of us wanted to go and say, well, okay, India, Pakistan's having a fight over Kashmir, you wanted to go, you get up and straight away you'd be called an ISIS supporter, and you would lose your British passport even though you've been.
But I am going to take this up, and it's been in all of this and everything that's gone on. It's one of the jobs I've got in hand. I want to know why people can go and fight for the IDF. Because where's your loyalty to this? I'm sorry to sound British. Where's your loyalty to this country if you're fighting for another country? It's as simple as that. Now, to me, it's a moral question. If, in Ukraine's example, right, okay, we're with you 100% for the obvious reasons you were invaded, right? Fine, I can live with that. But what I can't live with is any of the others, right? End of story. Where's your loyalty?
I'm sorry to break this up now. The reason being, obviously namaz is farz for everybody. And I do apologise once again for the late notice. I thank you from the bottom of my heart to come down and give us that little bit of feedback that we anticipate. We will have another meeting, inshallah, following our other 2-3 meetings that we are proposing to arrange. But I'm only a phone call away. People can please give me anything that they need, the feelings. We will pass it on to our people and ask them to pass it on to the appropriate.
Can I just finish with one point? First of all, thank you for all coming, or 3 points. So 2, these people should be in our hearts all the time. We should never ever let this. We should walk in their shoes and think about them and not ourselves.
Working on this, even though the war finished, we still need to carry on working.
And that's a massive point.
That's
the diplomacy bit.
Because we forget, and it explodes again. So we have to carry on working on it. Carry on.
I did look it up. There's been 6 official ceasefires through the United Nations, and every one has collapsed. So you make a very, very good point. We need to win it. Right, we need to win it afterwards. The peace. I want to finish
on the 1967 two-state solution.
This man. Can I just say? Can I just finish? This man is a great man. Right? I'm proud to call him my friend. He'll be the if the elections go the right way, and I don't want to go. He will be the first Kashmir leader of this council, Hyndburn Council. But why that matters, I'm not really bothered about the mayor. They don't have any power, the mayor. People might think you got a medal and you walk round. When you're the leader in Hyndburn and you represent Kashmiri people, you can make decisions and you can change things. And I'm proud to call him my friend. And next year I want to elect him as the leader of Hyndburn Council. Full stop. And that's what I'll be campaigning for from Great Harwood through to Baxington.
But realistically, nothing can be solved unless the Americans change their mind.
Correct.
I mean, Europe can't do anything. No. I mean, I heard one of his Labour thingy saying, he says, well, Keir's not going to call for a ceasefire until the Americans do. So really, we're just mirroring it. I mean, it's all right in Europe and England saying this and that and the other, but until the Americans change their mind, this ain't happening. Americans are not going to be changing their mind. So
I think you're spot on. But also I would add to that, and I did slightly digress away from, I had a slightly different view on, you thought the Americans were a bit more powerful. I think the Americans have been weakened and the Israelis are telling them what to do. Yeah. Because Blinken has called, the others down the food chain of the Senate, I'm not bothered about. Blinken is who I'm interested in. He has called for a humanitarian pause, whether that's right or not. But the Israelis are ignoring him.
Yeah, but you see, I don't agree with that at all. The people in the Middle East now are absolutely uproar. They're about to topple governments kind of thing. So their governments are thinking, I'm going to want to shake the ground here. So they're saying, give us something to say to the people.
Blinken can't get anything.
I know Blinken is making this speech about these corridors, but there's no corridors, not going to happen.
No,
it's all rubbish.
Point, then.
I know, but the point is, though, America now are flying drones over Gaza just before the Israelis go in. So whether we like it or not, there is American presence actually in Gaza. So you might call it Israeli. It's not Israeli. This is it.
Sajid, I think the other thing you need to ask Sarah Brickliffe is, why is she supporting a British drone? The British drones as well. There's warships. We're sending bombs.
Sorry, can I just come back? I want to stop you on important. So I was chair of a select committee in the House of Commons, which was a huge privilege, and the Arms Export Committee. And I called before the committee, before I lost the election, I called for an investigation in arms exports to Israel. It's in the newspapers. You go and look it up. I published it at the time on my own Facebook page. It's there for all to see in the past. Can't change it as a fact. I called for looking at arms exports to Israel. And I said to you at the very beginning, I'm passionate about this issue. And in the position that I had, I took advantage of it for the people of Palestine.
Thank you very much. Those people who want to stay for a lunch club, all 50, by the way, they're more than happy to stay.